and keep it um, very real. Like if someone knew me and met me and heard what I was talking about on LinkedIn and then they meet me in person, they're usually like, you're the exact same. And
Yeah.
that is, it's like, this is exactly my persona. I don't take a lot of time planning it and like scheduling it. It's kind of like this is something I'm thinking about and I put it out there. Um, and I think using that platform also to highlight other people, like
Yeah.
that's a great way. That's a great way. Then, it just, you're able to really get in front of I think a lot larger audience. And like, do people tag or repost? And I really don't know how the algorithm works. I don't know like why some things,
Yeah.
do
Same.
better than other things. Um, but I just think if you look at it, it's way more B2B facing, and it's a very good way for people starting out to gain some credibility.
Yeah.
So showing and talking about that you've been featured on this, so that you're talking about these things, that lends a lot of credibility. Um, and you're going to have more people who are in the B2B side looking at that,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I think is really important. So I'm a big fan. Like we just hired, like we were on two interns, and the first thing I did is look at their LinkedIn profile, and I told them you need to add like this and this, and you have a
Yeah. Yeah.
bio, and you just
Yeah.
have like
Change all of this stuff, right?
right away, and you should be posting and talk about your learnings and what you're doing. Like it's they could start way younger than I started. I started like so much later than them. Like they have all this time to kind of build that. But yeah, I think, and I do think you can, it really, I go into a market now and I'm like, hey, I'm going to have a get together of like founders I know there. I'll just search on my LinkedIn, like, who is located here? And I'm like, oh, I forgot they're all in this city. And you can find like a ton of people.
Yeah. Well, and it's been so interesting, especially in my career. I mean, LinkedIn, I feel like I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like we underestimate it a little bit, and we underestimate people too. Because I think like I've had, I mean, personal experiences where I've thought about changing jobs or changing careers or getting into a different industry I'm not familiar with, and I've reached out to people, and I feel like more often than not, people are willing to help. Like, hey, I've got questions around this stuff. Would you give me 5 or 10 minutes on the phone? Like, usually they're willing to help. Has that been your experience too?
Yes. And I'd say I'd say this, as long as you reach out like really authentically and
Yeah,
informed.
be genuine.
So I never would say to someone like, hey, can I pick your brain? I always go in and I'd be like, I listened to you on that. I go in like very detailed. Like they basically sound like a stalker, right? I listened to you on this. I saw that you went on vacation here. Do you have any input? And like, I'll give something really specific. Like I
Hmm.
heard you on this podcast. I really like that you mentioned this and talked about this. I'd love to learn more about what you talked about as far as your email marketing strategy or whatever. Like being really specific and looking like you really care and have
Yeah.
taken the time to know someone.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like it's hard for someone not to respond to that. I mean, granted, there's always going to be someone who doesn't respond and you have to let that roll off your back. But in general, it's thoughtful outreach that you really, took the time to understand the person, where they're coming from. Those are also the things that I always respond to as well.
Yeah.
If someone reached out and like, tell me what you do for Inspiro Tequila, I'm like, you could have read what I do for Inspiro Tequila,
Yeah.
just read my
Yeah.
bio.
You can Google that if you want. Like, I don't.
Right. You know exactly, you just have to show that you took the time. If you're like, so I think that's
Yeah.
the important part. If you're
Put some
just
effort
doing it
in.
because you're just like, let's do a broad outreach and pinging like lots of people, you're probably not going to get the same type of response or reaction or someone to take some time out of their day to meet.
Hmm.
But I feel like generally if you come in with something, and I do. I mean, I'll be like, I'll research them before. I'm like, I listened to you on this, this, this. I heard your speech here, or I did this, and um, I think that's a better way to go
Yeah.
on. So I'm good. That's my one point. I'm gonna say, don't ask anyone if you can pick their brain. I think it, it's not gonna be a compelling ask.
No, no, guys. I mean, and it doesn't have to be hours and hours of time. Just take 5 minutes and listen to them a little bit, or see what they've been posting or what they've been working on, and engage with that a little bit. Mara, thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on today. This has been absolute gold. And it's been fantastic listening to your story too.
Thank you. Is it tequila time?
It's tequila time at tequila o'clock, I think, right? But one last thing. So if somebody out
Yes.
there is listening and they either want to, buy some tequila or they want to learn more about you or what you're doing, where can they find you?
Yes. So find Inspiro Tequila. Go to inspirotequila.com, INFPIRO tequila.com. You could find us locally if we're in your market or order us online. Follow us on Instagram at Inspiro Tequila, and then reach out to me at, like we mentioned, on LinkedIn. That's my favorite platform.
Yep.
Um, you can see everything I'm talking about there, and obviously feel free to DM me, and I will
Not to pick your brain though, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you again. And if anybody's listening, has loved this conversation, make sure to subscribe and follow along. We've got a lot of stories just like this, and share it with somebody that could also use some inspiration today. And we'll see you next time.